Hello and welcome to another podcast of The Odd Couple. This is Siddharth here.
I'm Arjun.
And I'm Dr. Shish.
So, how are you guys been doing? It's been a busy week and it's been a while. So, what have you been up to, Dr. Sheesh?
I feel I got scammed much.
You got scammed.
I felt that way.
Isn't usually the other way around that doctor scams patients?
See, this is why I don't talk to you guys.
Okay, this is a friendly chat, but yeah. So, what kind of scam? I mean, what did you fall for?
I didn't fall. I fell for. What happened was I went to one of these fast food joints, right? And I ordered a burger. And the guy asked me, okay, do you want one cheese or two cheese? So I said, I'll take one cheese. When I got my bill, I was looking and I was charged for a slice of cheese. So I went back to him and I said, hey, you charged me for a slice of cheese. He's like, yeah, sir, you said you wanted one cheese. I said, no, I assumed there was one cheese inside and you were asking me if it's two cheese. And that's why I said I didn't want two cheese. I just want one cheese, And I figured that, damn, that's freaking, what a scam, man. They tricked me.
True. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a scam. Purely because they played a fast one, but again, I think it's also our responsibility to ask the obvious questions. This is called upselling. When I used to work for a coffee chain, this is called upselling. So in case a coffee costs 80 rupees, now how do you increase your profits? You upsell. So that's why they keep asking you, do you want extra toppings? Do you want whisked cream on it? Do you want extra chocolate sauce?
Yeah, Sid, but this is the difference over here with what you just said, which is you said it's upselling, right? But that's asking me,
Yes.
can I give you a size bigger and it's only going to cost you $20 more or $30 more? There's clarity in that. When you tell me, do you want one cheese or two cheese? It makes it sound like, dude, your burger comes with one cheese and do you want two cheese? So that's not upselling. That is playing me into paying them money, and that's a scam for me.
I agree. I'm not defending them.
If he had said, would you like cheese with that? Yes,
Yeah,
probably.
I'd say no, I don't want cheese with that. So what do you mean by one cheese or two cheese? So why not 5 cheese and 10 cheese? You can ask me that, right? So that kind of made me angry, and that made me think, Sid, that everything I see on TV, right? Let's say I'm watching a soap commercial or a detergent commercial, and then all of a sudden there's a bar of soap which comes and my shirt is white, and I like wearing white shirts, and I notice that by the end of the month there's nothing I can do about that white shirt. I need to change it. It's turned from white to, that beigeish color, and so you need to change it to a new shirt. So then I got to thinking that what they show on TV, is any of it real, or is there so much in fine print in the whole marketing gimmick which happened?
I think detergent should definitely be called out for that kind of thing because at no point is anything shiny white ever.
My point precisely. I don't know, Sid, you have a marketing background, so you can come in and probably
Yeah.
clarify.
So let me tell you, from a marketing background or being a marketing evangelist, I kind of don't. I take it with a pinch of salt. What you're saying, I agree where you're coming from, but the thing is that marketing takes. It is a highly research oriented. It is fact oriented. We take a lot of data, right, and we form it together and tell a story. All right, a story that the consumers wants to listen to. So marketing gives the consumer a choice and obviously says, hey, listen, my product is better, or my product rings closer to the kind of aspirational values that you might have. All right. For example, classic examples would be brands like Amul, Hamara Bajaj, those ads that you still remember. Cadbury's, where you have the cricketer hitting a six, his girlfriend comes down, celebrates with him. Or even something like a Fevicol. These are iconic advertisements, right, that we all remember, love, and we also connect with. So, yes, there will always be outliers in any industry who kind of cons people. Yes, there are those bad apples, but I don't think anybody or any brand consciously sits in a room, thinks about way of scamming people, especially in the day and age that we are in, where it takes 5 minutes to know whether you're talking bullshit or not.
But Sid, the thing is, see, all those ads you mentioned, they brought a human experience and a human story. They didn't tell you that soap is going to make every stain completely disappear. Those were all heartwarming, heartfelt human experiences, insights on life.
True, but take a brand like Surf Excel, right? Surf's tagline is "Daag achhe hain," meaning going the reverse, saying that okay, you know what? Go ahead, make your shirt dirty. We will clean it up for you. It is no longer the old thing showing a sparkling, dazzling white shirt after wash. It's just showing a clean shirt. Now, again, obviously, if you as a consumer, I think we also need to take every ad with a pinch of salt. Like how we watch movies or we consume any kind of media. We don't go, oh, these guys are going to tell us the absolute truth. Something like a classic example would be the Axe Deo spray. It is for an aspirational things. It's not that we buy Axe and we expect 1,000 women to keep chasing us and falling over us.
Sid, you made that point that it's aspirational or whatever and stuff like that. All right, let's try and get down to why was marketing started, right? What's the whole point about marketing? Marketing right now even is has broadened its what is it? Its scope to even contain sales into marketing. It's not just that they're into advertising. Advertising is just one portion of it. Research and data is another part of marketing, right? And what is it? So marketing is now encompassed a lot of things underneath them. But
Marketing
essentially,
always has been that.
yes. So essentially, what did it start with? It started with trying to find a what is it? A unique, the brand have a value or a something like that which is marketed. It was started as something to put your brand forward among the other competition so that people can connect to your brand. It started with having to get people people to identify and to consume your product greater than other products did, right?
Exactly, right. So, in case I was a caveman and I invented a boomerang, and equally at the same time, let's say another person also has a boomerang, I will tell why is my boomerang better than yours, right? Now, at the end of it, might be effectively the same product. Now, what will I do? I will probably package it better by having some nice killer artwork on the boomerang to make it look better, right? It is not only about the product alone or the attributes of the product. It is also about how the product looks, how the product feels. For something like a brand like Nike, right? With Michael Jordan signing up, Air Jordans was created. Air Jordan still makes Michael Jordan, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars even today after his retirement of 10, 15 years or 20 years. But the point I'm trying to make is that marketing has always been there, and marketing is not inherently evil is what I'm saying.
No, it isn't. Marketing has the good aspects of marketing to take something basic and human and give it desirable attributes to make you change your perception into wanting such an item, being part of the lifestyle that whole thing represents. It has its more noble moments.
I'll just take this a step back. Now, why do brands do this?
There was a time when there was no marketing. Before marketing, I'm just saying, there was a time when products used to have to sell itself, which was the value of the product was based on whether the quality was good, whether the product was good, and if the product was not good, it didn't sell. And then came marketing, where they started saying that we can create products based on this data which I bring you, which is saying that there is a need for this market wants this, let's create a product for that. So that happened. Now my issue with marketing is that you have products which don't work, right? And are not great, but you market that, really create a brand for it, put a sticker on it, and its function might not be great, but you make it look good. You attract the youth. You say this is what you want, and you sell them for less than what they really deserve. And that is my problem with marketing.
While what you have said is absolutely right, and there's no contesting those facts that you mentioned, every brand has a right to market.
True.
Now, every brand which makes a product, if the product is not good, it's not going to sell for a very long time. It's no matter how much I pump in money in terms of marketing spends, if the product is inherently useless or not great, people are not going to buy it. Marketing, people also has a choice, right? A choice to choose, a choice to test out, and the biggest marketing in the world is not paid marketing, it's word of mouth. If Dr. Sheesh or Arjun tells me that Sid, this particular car is better than that particular car, and I've used it, I that holds far more value than the millions being spent on TV, on radio. But again, that is another form of marketing.
Let's talk about the group which got scammed. I'm saying that if now let's say 10,000 people bought a pen which they promised would write 200 pages and wrote one page and died out. It was advertised it would do that. And now they're cheated, right? Now, my problem is how can we allow these companies to get away with crap like that? They've sold their 200,000 units and they have gone. To catch those guys is not possible. That's my issue. Let's take Volkswagen, where okay, maybe you shouldn't use a brand. Let's
No,
take
we can
the
use
car
a brand
company.
because it's a very well known scam that they did of
Yeah,
cheating,
which they
right?
did.
And they got
Exactly. And
penalized for it.
how they're still selling cars?
Do you want to shut shop and let
Yes.
let's say 5 lakh
How else
people
would
go
the
out of a
others learn?
job?
How will
It
the
is
other
not
peop-
that,
How will you learn?
Ashish, it is not about, if that is the case, then there'll be no companies existing. No companies would even bother starting up. Nobody will invest in business. Let's get back to your profession. You want to start a hospital, and that's something that you always wanted to do. But if the government says, listen, if somebody dies in your hospital will be shut down. Would you ever invest in a hospital? No, you won't. You can't have these archaic rules set in place, but you put checks and balances. In marketing, there is a very strict check and balances in place, right? I think in a country like India, the consumer law is extremely positive or inclined towards consumer safety and consumer protection. There is, yes, our legal system is kind of weird and lazy and skewed towards it taking forever to get resolved. But any kind of if you look at the consumer law in India or even elsewhere, it's extremely consumer protective. And even brands like, yes, there, as I said earlier, there will be outliers in the industry. There will be people who scam, but that cannot be the reason why people should not market.
Agreed. I mean, we can't take like a draconian law and say, okay, you can't practice at all. Yeah, I get that. What my problem is that the number of companies which are doing it now are far more than what you're saying. Yeah, okay, you know what? It's an outlier. It's no more an outlier. It's more like everything is fine printed now. And if I go to contest it, they'll say it's there in fine print. Why do you buy it? But all of them are doing it now. So when everybody does it because they can, then how do I get to do anything? I can't buy anything. Yeah, then I might as well not buy anything at all, right? So that's the thing which they're playing with.
Let me just step in here for a second. I agree. I tend to agree now with Ashish more than before, because when we were talking about brands and having standards and checks and balances, yes, the Advertising Standards Council of India, for India at least, has stringent standards. But what has happened these days is hyper consumerism. There are now a billion more brands to watch over, and people are taking increasing advantage of the fact that there's less and less oversight. The more these kind of, basically a lot more brands seem to be getting away with it than before.
Exactly, my.
I agree to the fact, but again, coming back to the point, are there more brands scamming people or are there more people getting scammed?
There are more people getting scams.
Because there are a lot more brands who are doing what they're doing, which is writing everything in fine print and saying it will serve that, but it doesn't serve it. So that's what it is.
I don't have anything specific to this. I guess it's more of a statement and an observation. And I think it's also a personal angle also, right? Even if I've got scammed, I might take it seriously or may not take it seriously. If I get scammed, honestly, I blame myself. I wouldn't blame the brand, honestly. I wouldn't, because I should have been smarter about it. We do not live in this holier than thou world.
Correct. Now, I told you the other day about what happened to me when I bought my RAM, where the advertisement was saying it is clocked at 1.33, but what I got was a underclocked RAM set. Now, most people might not know it, and because they're not that educated. But when I put it in and ran it through my system, I saw what it was. The thing, the information says that it is not what it claims to be, right? Now that is fraud. It's cheating. It's of the consumerism law.
Something like religion. Religion is the biggest marketing thing which is there. I mean, all the promises it makes, it doesn't keep up a single promise, and yet you have millions of people who are very happy with the product.
See, religion for me, religion is personal. So for somebody, nobody's promising you X, Y, and Z in
Of course they
religion or
do.
whatever.
In Christianity or in Islam or in Hinduism or anything, there is a saying that, listen, if you're pious, you go to heaven, hell, you go to hell. Or if you do good, this will happen.
See,
Bad,
for me,
this will happen.
religion is subjective. This is objective. That's the difference for me. So I don't want to compare apples and oranges
No,
together.
the reason you won't compare is that you're very happy with the product which is religion, versus somebody who I'm not too happy with that concept, which I think is as a product. That is just a perspective.
Illa macha. I'm just trying to say that these are apples and oranges which we're trying to compare. I'd rather keep it apples.
Why
and
not?
let's talk about apples.
How is it
So,
any different?
yeah.
This is marketing still. How is it apples and oranges?
Because somebody can always say that it has fulfilled every need of mine.
And then a
can't
lot of
say,
people
no, it
say they're
hasn't,
scammed
right?
also.
Because who am I to say that to him, right?
I am.
No, with this it's not. If somebody is saying that, he's being cheated. He's been promised something, and something which is given in his hand physically, there's something right.
All right, guys. The topic is nicely heating up, and I think we should take a break right now. Probably take a sip of beer and chill out, and probably market our sponsor. All right, welcome back to The Odd Couple. So we were discussing if marketing is inherently evil or not, and there has been some few views on it. And Arjun, we would love to hear what you think about
Well,
this.
I don't think it's inherently evil, but I agree that there are more and more people taking advantage of people's ignorance and trying to get away with things instead of explaining things more fully. A consumer like Ashish, who knows the product he bought should be returned and he returned it, got a refund, or got a new product. But like Ashish said, 99% of the people who bought it will not know they received a wrong product. And I think companies willfully will take that exchange of one unhappy customer over 99% of the customers who think they've been catered to fully. That to me is a breach of promise. It's not cheating, but it's unethical.
So that's where we come into something called marketing ethics. Because any kind of marketing needs to have this certain tenets, and these are taught in B schools. What are the marketing ethics? Whether it's advertising, whether it's media, whether it's PR. Now PR is a form of marketing, but it isn't hardcore marketing as we speak about, right?
It's a part of marketing.
It is part of it. So I'm saying marketing has so many different parts, and each and everything is distinct, and each of them have their own set of ethics and certain set of codes that you do not infringe upon or you do not break. It's important to ensure, and every country has their own rules also. Like for example, in India, I can't openly, or a brand like Cadbury's can't openly say that another chocolate brand sucks, right? They can't. Those are marketing ethics. They might compare detergent X, detergent Y, detergent Z, but they can't. So there are certain marketing ethics. At the same time, there's something called consumer ethics also. From a consumer's point of view, there is certain ethics that needs to be followed. Like how we need to ensure that in this current cyber world that we do live in, we need to ensure that we also take a second, do a quick Google search, do a quick review, figure it out. We are a land with more than I think 600 million mobiles with Geo in the space. Connectivity is hardly an issue. It needs to be imbibed.
Correct, Sidhu. Now, what you said is right. We should start getting smarter. And like how before, no, they used to call and say, give me your PIN number. Now people are like, oh, we're a bit smarter than
Yes.
that. Yeah, people get educated. And now what you're saying is that you should be a little bit more smarter as a consumer. But now I'll ask you one
Sure.
question. I am going to go buy a car,
Yes.
right? Everybody says you will get a mileage of 24 kilometers. And then I'll ask him, realistically on road, how much I'll get it for? Sir, around 14, 16. If I go to the next he'll say around 14, 16. If I go to the next car shop and I ask him, sir, what is the mileage? Around 22 you'll get. Sir, realistically, how much will I get for the car? You will get around 16 per on the road. So, ultimately, they brought it down to the fact that everybody does that. So, what Googling, what thing am I going to do which is going to tell me that this person is better than the other person? That is what marketing was supposed to do. Now, everybody is on the same platform, which is, it's okay. It's fine. We just have to write it in fine print that, yeah, your realistic value will be this, done under testing conditions.
Yes.
So you can never recreate those testing conditions. Because you can't recreate that, you can't contest this in court.
Agreed.
So they're all getting away with it is my problem. So the number of these guys now doesn't leave me with the choice to say you stand out as a cheater. They're all become cheaters.
Honestly, there are cases where
Because they can't keep up with the competition. So they all, instead of kicking that guy, one guy who did the wrong and cut him off, each guy is turning into him because they
that
can't
is exactly where I disagree with you. Just because somebody makes a mistake or knowingly makes a mistake, you reprimand him. You don't shut him out.
We have to be stricter with our laws,
If
is
you
what I'm
shut
saying.
down, if you shut him down, no other manufacturer levy
understand.
come in is only my point. Do we need to have strict consumer rules, consumer friendly rules? Definitely yes. Do we need to make the process of consumers raising complaints and a consumer addressal system? Yes, we already have it. It's called the consumer court. Now the problem is that the duration of these cases sometimes are a little longer, and also that the damages that the consumer gets, let's say after however long he ends up winning the case, is minimal. But there have been a lot of cases taken up by the consumer court where the customers either been compensated for the damages, or even in a case where somebody sued I think Tata Motors or somebody for an Indica, which, as you said, the exact example that you gave, the ARAI tested mileage was 21, where he got realistically only around 12 or 13. I don't know the exact figures, but ultimately he was compensated with a new car, or that refund was given to him. But there is a readdress system, but I agree with you, it has to be a much more stronger fine.
So all I'm saying is, I'm not asking you to be draconian and say, okay, you got to shut your shop or whatever. I agree with you on that point, because there are 10,000 people who have jobs over there. I mean, they will all be affected. That company is giving jobs. I do understand, right? So I don't want to go in and be that guy who says, okay, everybody's got to stop. But I'm just saying, what does it take to stop them from saying 22 and 24 under normal testing, under conditions which we can't achieve? Why can't we stop them from saying that and say, give the realistic value?
You can't give a realistic. See, it is because of standardization. Now, a roads in, let's say, interior Dharwad or Meerut or someplace like that will be worse than the roads in probably on a highway, right? So you need to have a standardized testing. So hence the whole standardized testing is the ARAI standardized testing conditions and all that. Like I said, it has to be taken with a pinch of salt. And they mention it very clearly that it is done through in standard testing conditions. It's not that they don't mention it. They definitely do mention it.
So even the dag which disappears from your white shirt also will not happen under your normal testing conditions, but will happen under my super testing conditions.
No, I don't see that. That is See, it's something like a little ad. A girl having a bath under the waterfall. The little girl that we all grew up fondly liking.
Fondly.
Now, it's not that you're going to fondly, yeah, she was hot. No, the point which I'm trying to make is that we do not like Happy Dent, that ad. It is a brilliant ad. It it basically said
Ishmael.
that your teeth will become whiter. That's it. It's not going to light up your thing and you give up using your headlights and use only your teeth to light up the road. It is an exaggeration of a truth or closer to reality. It is just making it more entertaining. If I just come on TV and say, hey, listen, buy my product. We clean your teeth. Yeah, we don't want to cheat you. Buy. Will you buy that product? Come on. You same consumers will complain, no. And somebody else do a snazzy ad, or why is Patanjali a 10,000 crore product today? It's not because the product is superior. It's just that the whole marketing angle is that, hey, listen, we are Ayurveda. It is far more closer. It has been inspired by the Vedas, and those are the kind of ingredients that we're using, and hence the
That's
whole...
not what they did. They came and said it was a cure for thing. Let's see the new trend which is there in marketing now. Everything now in marketing is all about immunity booster.
Yes.
That's the whole marketing gimmick now, which is running now. Everything is immunity. And Patanjali came out saying that it was a cure first until they got called out for it.
They got called out, right? And those are the checks and balances I'm talking. Nobody can do and claim or do the whole snake oil thing anymore. You will get called out. Patanjali, a 10,000 crore company, was clearly called out for their product called Coronil or something, where they claimed they had very tall claims, but they were quickly shut down or shot down. And those are the checks and balances that the whole industry has now. Because your competitors are not going to keep quiet. Please understand that too. You might be a con person, right? The competitor is not going to keep quiet about it. He will raise a hue and cry.
Correct, Sid. I'm asking you, how did Patanjali get punished? That's the whole point. Hands up in the air. Everybody just called it out. That's not... I'm sure there are villages which have not heard what we are talking about and Patanjali's thing. They still think Patanjali is super product.
Dr. Sheesh, I completely agree with you. I agree that the fines have to be stronger. There has to be a much more rigid reprimand process in place. I'm not denying the fact. What we're doing right now, we have a podcast today, and one day we wish that this will become successful because we live in a capitalistic society and we would like to make some money while we're having fun with it. Now, are you going to say, obviously we will market this product.
I love how you think we'll ever make money with this, but yeah, great.
It's immaterial, but I'm saying it is yes, we're not going to scam people. Yes, we might be scamming of probably some time that you can probably use to do something more useful. But hey, I would say that, listen, that's a choice you made for tuning into us.
But Ashish, coming back to your point of when you talked about how, okay, now all these things are being branded as immunity boosters, what they have done, I want to make a distinction between false claims and changing perceptions. If you look at products of, let's say, Tulsi tea, Horlicks, or ginger, whatever, or tonics, or Chawanprash, or whatever it is, earlier the perception was marketing it towards a healthier and a better you. Now they're just shifting the same perception, saying a healthier, better you means more immunity. Therefore, these are now immunity boosters. They're just altering the perception, but the product itself hasn't changed. On a side note, on using an existing product to alter perception, was one of the best examples of marketing about that was King Ferdinand of Prussia. He wanted all the Germans to start eating potatoes so they'd have an alternate source of carbs in case there's a famine. They'll have an alternate source to bread. So, but the Germans would not even look at a potato. They said, my dog's not even going to eat a bloody potato. So our man went and declared the potato a royal vegetable and nobody was allowed to eat it except the royal family. Then he grew potatoes and hired guards not to guard it too well. Before you knew it, there were millions of Germans having these underground illegal potato farms and they started consuming potatoes. So that was how, like I said, it wasn't creating a false claim on anything, but it was just simply taking an existing product and altering someone's perception in that. I think that's a good marketing story in the true sense of its form.
Correct. Now, can I give you the bad version of that? So, this is the story which you gave me about the Russian king. I'll give you the story of Mr. Kellogg's, right? When they first made Kellogg's early on, nobody bought
You
Kellogg's.
mean cornflakes?
Cornflakes, yeah. Yeah, it's become synonymous with cornflakes is Kellogg's, right? Just like Colgate is toothpaste. So that's the
Band-Aid,
power
Xerox,
of
yes.
the power of marketing. So nobody wanted to eat cornflakes in those days. It was not a breakfast product until he branded it as a healthy substance. That breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and your first meal has to be cornflakes, and you become healthy. And that is change of perception of a product. Today that product has such a high content of sugar, it is not healthy anymore. There is no health benefit from eating Kellogg's. They promise you weight loss, they promise you immunity booster, they promise you everything. There's nothing.
Impossible. It's a junk food.
So that is the reverse. So yeah, so that is the reverse of what you just said. Yours was used in a good way, or in some way, but this is the opposite.
Maybe that's what Dr. Sheesh is trying to say, but I think his point might be, are the outliers now kind of just running rampant and increasing? An honest product stands out more because you know everything is a scam. I mean, that's the perception now.
Yes.
Someone coming out as honest,
Yeah.
someone coming out as honest immediately sticks out from the bunch because you're like, oh, there might be something to what this guy is saying.
Or we are so cynical nowadays. They're like, oh, he's saying he's honest. He's definitely a crook.
Yeah, even that now. Now I fall for that. Yeah, I agree with you.
So honestly, guys, I don't think there is a right or wrong answer here. It is just something that we all need to be aware of and probably conscious about. My take is that marketing is not inherently evil. Because I am in that space, probably I'm slightly more biased to it. But this is the experience that I had over 17 years. Or Arjun has also been in the same industry, and Dr. Sheesh being a consumer. I guess that's the overall take on this.
My take is just that one point, which is I completely agree with you, Sid, that every basket will have a couple of bad apples. But I've come to that, when you go shopping, right, and you've come down to those last onions, where you've really got to dig for the good ones because everything is bad, So you dig and find that one good onion or tomato or whatever. That's what the situation which marketing has created now. They've made the outliners are good guys, and the main guys are all just selling that.
Fair enough. So, guys, please do your homework. Please do these searches. Be careful. Yes, we are responsible for our own decisions that we make. There is something called free will. There's something called free choice. Make the right decision, and not everything is evil. Thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast. Do check out our social media handles, and we would love to hear from you.
And I hope this entire show wasn't bad marketing, but you are informed consumers. We're sure you'll make an educated choice.
Thanks, guys.
Until next time, bye bye.
Bye-bye.